How's it going, everyone? Day 30, good job. Congrats, everyone. We had almost 300 people join for this 30-day quarantine. I was so inspired. Almost 20 people checked in every single day on Spar, so great job to you guys. Yeah, it was just an amazing kind of challenge with the whole community. We had a lot of fun with it. We hope that you guys did too. I'm going to talk a little bit about all the things that I reflected on, all the things that I learned during these 30 days. In no particular order, I'm just going to kind of talk a little bit about fitness, golf, health, recovery, and everything in between. So here we go. I might go quick, I might go slow, but here we go. The first thing that I thought about was how long 30 days is. Doing something every single day for 30 days is a lot. You know, I think you all felt it. I felt it. And it's really easy if you miss one day, it's really easy to fall off and just kind of lose that motivation. You know, science shows to create a habit, you need 21 days straight. And I kind of believe that. I think, you know, the ones that did, you know, the 20 people that checked in every single day, I think you really created a routine, you created a habit. And so now it's about kind of continuing that. And we'll talk about that a little later in this video. But, and also from my own experience with the 30 days, it's pretty amazing. I trained a lot more, I was more active, I did my drills. You know, I gained about 8 pounds during the 30 days, which I've wanted to do for a while. I went out and played golf once, and I played okay. I shot 2 under, had 4 birdies in a row without touching a club. But all the drills that we got from the coaches and everything, it didn't feel that hard to get out to play. So it's really interesting. I think, you know, the swing conditioning stuff without hitting balls is something that's really valuable. You know, you're conditioning your body to swing the golf club or to work on the body movement. It's really a valuable time, I believe. So let's start with fitness. So from a fitness side, I think it's really important to remember a couple of things that we kind of live by here at UGP. So I'll go pretty quick, and if you have follow-up questions, please just message us or reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any of your questions. We talk a lot about the big 3. So if we have 1,000 golfers, how are we going to improve them in the most efficient way possible? You know, what program would I prescribe? Well, we would prescribe a program that focuses a lot on the big 3, which is upper body rotation, sometimes we call it T-spine rotation, hip mobility, and the relationship between the two, which we call X factor. So those 3 are the top 3. And if we're going to have 4 and 5, I would probably say neck mobility and ankle mobility, because the top and bottom is very important to have a good fluid sequence. The next 3 rules of fitness is kind of what we talk about here as well, is don't injure the client, don't injure the player, because if we want to get good at golf, we've got to play golf a lot, and if we get injured, we can't play or practice. Number 2, the golf fitness that we do is meant to expedite your development. It's not necessarily focused only on enhancing the performance. It's more so comparing just doing golf coaching to doing golf coaching and golf fitness, and you move along much faster. That's the whole point. So if we can expedite golf development, we're doing the right thing. And the 3rd rule of golf fitness at UGP is to eliminate swing thoughts, not to have too many thoughts over the ball. And we can do that through fitness. We can improve your hip mobility, and we don't have to think about, you know, things like clearing the hips or firing their hips. And so we can actually minimize your thoughts that are kind of hindering your game through better movement. And then we have consistency. You know, I talked about the 30 days and how much we can accomplish if we do something every day for 30 days. You know, if you struggle with mobility, for example, if you can do 10 minutes every day, it's worth a lot more than if you do 20 minutes 3 times a week, because that consistency is really gonna create meaningful results. So consistency is king. 3D training, important. You know, golf is played in 3 dimensions, so in 3 planes of motion. So most fitness, CrossFit, Orange Theory, boot camp, all the different fitness categories is basically only in 1 plane, which is called the sagittal plane. And so golf is played primarily actually in the frontal, side to side, and the rotational plane. So those are very important to train, and that's why we focus so much on that here at UGP. Let's go into golf. I thought a lot about belief when it comes to golf. Believing in yourself. We did a lot of podcasts with world famous coaches, and so many times it came back to belief. Do you believe that you can be good? Do you believe that you can hit a certain shot? And there's a quote by Henry Ford that one of our guests, Mark Wirtz, quoted was, if you believe you can, you can. If you believe you can't, you can't. Either way, you're right. Which basically is so simple, but so true. So if you believe you can't pull off a certain shot, you can't. But if you believe you can, you can. So really think of mental strategies to really believe in yourself as a player on the course. And the other thing is really managing expectations. I think we work with this every single day with our members. You know, setting the wrong expectations is what creates disappointment. And, you know, if we expect to become a scratch player, or if we expect to become a single-digit player, and we just started the game, it's really easy to get disappointed because golf is not improved in an exponential curve. Golf is a lifelong game that goes more like this. But as long as it slowly goes in the right direction, we're good, but it really goes like this, even for the best players in the world. And so it's really difficult because it can really be frustrating. But if you are aware of this, as long as we can keep improving slowly and understand that failure is a part of the process, you're going to be just fine and you'll enjoy the process more. Because if you are on a downward, like everybody has slumps, if you get really discouraged, you're most likely not having the right expectations. You're most likely putting too much pressure on yourself and your expectations are really high. Take statistics from the PGA Tour, for example. From 8 feet, the PGA Tour average is that 50% make. Okay, so if you're a 10 handicap, if you make an 8-footer, you should be really happy because statistically, you probably shouldn't even make it. So knowing the numbers and setting the right expectations is so key to enjoy this game and to actually improve faster, because if you get discouraged, you're just gonna improve slower. All right, and then the last point on golf is something that I learned from James O in the last year or so is really looking at professionals, looking at professional golfers and their habits and their behaviors and their process and the way they practice. And I never thought that it was relevant for let's say a beginner or amateur golfer to look at that, but I've completely changed my mind. It might not be relevant to look at Rory's swing mechanically, but it's very relevant to look at how he thinks, how he moves, what he does on the driving range, his mindset, his process. And so we can copy a lot of the pros' habits and behaviors very easily. It's very available everywhere. So don't try and copy their swing, copy their behaviors, and you'll see a lot of, progress, because guess what? Those same habits are going to work for a beginner actually, and that's what's so cool. All right, let's move into kind of recovery and nutrition. So on the recovery side, I thought about Whoop a lot, measuring sleep, measuring recovery. Now it measures respiratory rate as well, which can be an indicator if you're starting to get sick, respiratory rate goes up, which is kind of cool right now with COVID-19 going on. If respiratory rate goes up, could be an indicator that you're starting to have some issues with respiratory system. And so the technology on the recovery side is starting to get really good, because the recovery technology has been around for a while, but now I'm starting to really feel like there's application for anyone. Even if you're not an athlete, there's some really interesting data that you can look at to improve your overall health. And gamify sleep, for example. Like if you gamify sleep, that's a good thing. Hey, I want to improve my sleep and I can track it. I want to get half an hour more sleep. Like, talk about a healthy kind of game to play is looking at how well you recover and how well you rest. Vitamin D, I've thought about. There's 2 studies that came out that show that 98% of the people that passed away from COVID were deficient in vitamin D. Now, those were really big studies, and it's just a correlation. It's not a causation. So it doesn't mean that vitamin D is preventing COVID in any way, but it is interesting to think about, because a lot of people, even here in Southern California, are deficient in vitamin D. It shouldn't really be the case, because the sun is out almost every day. And how do we get, sufficient vitamin D? Be out in the sun for 20 minutes a day or half an hour with a t-shirt and sun in your face is enough. And if you don't get out, if you're inside working from home, take 3,000 to 5,000 IUs every day, and that gets you covered. And it's really good for the immune system. And even though it's maybe not a causation in those studies, I still value it quite a bit. Basically, the reason why I say that is because it's a correlation, which means that most people that are deficient in vitamin D are unhealthy in general, and or maybe have pre-existing conditions and things like that. So we don't know for sure that it's preventing some kind of some of these viruses, but it can never hurt. Also talked and thought a lot about creatine monohydrate, which is a supplement that has been studied for 50, 60 years, I believe. Very safe, very cheap, and it probably is the most effective supplement in the history of nutrition. It's not talked about too much. I think most people think of like bodybuilders when they think about creatine. All creatine does is it makes you more efficient in the creatine phosphate system, which is basically any movement from 0 to 10 seconds. So think explosive movements, sprinting, or the Gauss swing. The Gauss swing is about 1 second long. So I am a big proponent of taking creatine monohydrate, 5 grams a day. I find very few reasons to not take it. Creatine monohydrate does bind water in the muscle cells, so you'll gain some water weight, but you'll get stronger, you get results much faster. There's great cognitive effects. If you have more questions about this, I'm happy to talk to you about it. And you get faster. It's literally proven. There's, a supplement market is billions of dollars. Most of it is crap. Creatine monohydrate works, and I'm passionate about it, as you can see. All right, let's move into some of the other stuff that I thought about. If you're looking to lose weight, for example, I'll just finish on this. I've been doing intermittent fasting for 6 years. It's not a magic diet. It's not really a diet. It's more of a nutritional strategy. It's about when you eat. So I don't eat between 8 p.m. and then till about noon the next day. It's not for everyone. Like I said, it's not some magical diet, but it can really help for people that maybe don't like breakfast or don't enjoy it. Then it's a really simple thing to follow, and fasting has shown to be very helpful in many ways, and it's a great way to create a calorie deficit, basically to lose weight if you're trying to lose weight, and you just eat lunch and a big dinner. if it fits your lifestyle, if it fits your kind of routine, I recommend it. It's not for everyone, but if you want to lose weight, it can be really effective. Last thing, I forgot. You might have remembered I had an interval walking day, and it was funny. We posted that video, and I think like a week later or a couple days later, Tiger Woods came out and talked about how running ruined his knees, and so I thought that was kind of funny. So, you know, I think that you can modify the program a little bit there. I think to make it a little bit more efficient, you can do it on a treadmill with some incline. But really the main goal there is to not stress your knees and the back too much with running, but rather walk, be more goal specific, still great exercise, while not putting too much stress on your body. You know, we almost always want to put as little stress on the body as possible while still getting the max results. So that's a concept that's really interesting to me, because we know overtraining and pushing too hard and always go to failure and puke after a workout, it's just not effective. It's just not, it's not good for performance. And so we have to kind of be right there on the border of, you know, doing as little as possible, because then we can recover and get really strong. And so interval walking is a really interesting concept that I'm going to continue to work on. All right, 30 days is up. Thank you so much for joining us. We had almost 300 people join. It was awesome. It was long, and I'm glad it's over. Now, when it's over, set up a small goal that you know for sure you can do every single day. Maybe it's hydration and it's just one small goal like that. Just set that goal, do it for 14 days. When that becomes a habit, you set the next goal. So set small goals, really attainable, you know, that are like super easy for you to do. And then you build on that. Don't try and do too much too fast. And that way we can continue this progress that we created during the quarantine challenge. All right, guys, I hope to see you soon. I hope UGP is open soon. See you.